I'm trying to get 100 platinum trophies. In my last video, I asked if you guys wanted to see me platinum Absolute Drift next, and the verdict was a resounding yes. So, here you go. Absolute Drift is classified as a racing game, however as the name implies, it's not about how you handle your car going straight, it's about how you handle it going sideways. It was developed and published by Fun Selector Labs, and was actually their debut title which released on PC in July of 2015. Then with the help of the company Flipfly, it was ported digitally to consoles in August of the following year. The console port was referred to as the Zen Edition, and it included some additional events and challenges as well as a few quality of life updates. After that, Limited Run Games threw their hat in the ring and produced physical editions for the PS4, which released in October of 2017 and were limited to 4,000 copies worldwide. I was actually lucky enough to get my hands on one of those copies, so that's what we'll be using for the Platinum. To give some backstory, I came across Absolute Drift completely by chance. Art of Rally, which I covered in my last video, was my first experience with any game made by Fun Selector, and after playing it for only a few hours, I became a fan for life. Whenever I find a unique game from an unknown developer, or at least unknown to me, I always do some digging to see what other games they've made, and that's how I found out about Absolute Drift. But I digress, because you didn't come here for my life story, you came here for trophies, and with a total of 21 we need to get, it's time to stop talking and start sliding. Just like Art of Rally, the game starts off with us talking to a giant Buddha, and he explains how drifting came to be. Apparently, it was started by a Japanese race car driver who had too much sake during lunchtime, and he couldn't keep his car straight afterwards. I'm gonna take this as 100% fact because one does not doubt the Buddha. The Buddha knows all. We're dropped into this world behind the wheel of a Trueno AE86, and with that iconic black and white paint scheme, it's gotta be a reference to Takumi from Initial D. I mean, it literally says tofu on the bottom of it, so there's no doubt about it. Our drifting journey begins in a training area which offers some amazing courses such as circle, square, and circle with poles. These courses allow us to get a feel for the drifting mechanics, and while messing around here, we got our first trophy, the long drift, for doing a continuous drift for 10 seconds. Hey, the long drift. First trophy, let's go. After completing all 3 training courses and their corresponding challenges, we feel like we have the drifting down well enough to move on to World 1 where we can try out some real events. In addition to the drifting events, the overworld also has a bunch of random missions scouted around, like drifting through poles or jumping over airplanes. We spent some time completing a few of those missions before absolutely yeeting our car into the stratosphere for our next trophy, Maverick. Hey, Maverick! Buzz the control tower on World 1, nice. And that jump wasn't even related to a mission either, it just looked like fun. After returning from orbit, we complete the last few missions in the area, which gives us access to the next world and unlocks our first additional car, the Supra.
Is that a Supra?
We decide to ditch the 8.6 for now and use the Supra for the remainder of World 1. The first course we check out is your standard NASCAR oval, but with some dotted lines wrapping around both corners. Those are perfect drift lines, and they require precise angle and throttle control to hit all the dots with a single drift. When done correctly, we get what's known as a perfect drift, and doing that twice in a single run is one of the challenges for this course. Each event has 5 challenges, most of which are fairly simple, like hit a certain score threshold or drift for X amount of seconds. However, the 2 perfect drift lines are a bit more of a pain to complete within 3 laps. It took many attempts to get the angle and speed just right, but eventually we were able to hit our first perfect drift for the trophy Drift Line Apprentice. Hey, Drift Line Apprentice, let's go. Now we just have to do that a second time. Hold it, there we go. This was the last challenge we needed for this course, so after crossing the finish line, it gets us the trophy Midnight Drifter for unlocking our first midnight event. I'll cover more on that when we get to it, but first we need to take care of that last normal event. One of the challenges on this course is to get a 10 times multiplier, which is achieved by linking drifts together without hitting a wall. However, we went above and beyond and racked up a 15 times multiplier, which got us the trophy Multiplier Master. You may have noticed this course also has a drift line in one of the corners, which is not related to any challenge, but that doesn't stop us from using it to execute our 10th perfect drift line for the trophy Drift Line Master. Drift Line Master, heck yeah, bro. After clearing the rest of the challenges, we can now move on to the Midnight event, which is where our skills will really be put to the test. Midnight events are more demanding courses that were added with the Zen Edition update of the game, and they're unlocked by completing a certain number of challenges in the standard events. As the name implies, this event takes place during the dark of night, and all we have is our headlights to illuminate the road in front of us. Most of the challenges for this event are pretty straightforward and didn't take much time to complete. For example, we were able to get the Score 300,000 points challenge on only our 3rd attempt, and even went a little overkill and finished with over 500,000 points, which got us the trophy Good Skills. Hey, good skills. The same can't be said about the 7-second drift challenge though, because we ended up spending nearly an hour on this one challenge alone. Oh, I was close, dude, I was close. Alright, I got this. This was the last challenge we needed for this course, and the reason it's so difficult is because it's not to drift for 7 seconds total, it's to do one continuous drift that lasts 7 seconds. This was a brutal challenge for the first world, and we did so many attempts that we ended up getting the trophy Bring in the Cubic Ruckus for smashing 100 cubes before we locked down the 7-second drift. A few more tries later, we had an absolutely amazing run, scoring over 1,000,000 points, which got us the trophy Mad Skills. However, we only managed to get a 3-second drift out of it. At this rate, I'm going to end up getting the platinum before I get this challenge. This is getting ridiculous. I'm no quitter though, so we keep at it, and after countless more attempts, we finally locked down the 7-second drift without even realizing it. Midnight Master? I don't even know what that is. I'll have to check that after. I'm on a roll right now. Dang it, trophy, you ruined my roll. Well, I mean, might as well check what it is then. Oh, I did it! Oh, complete all 5 event challenges and any midnight event. Oh, I got the 7-second drift. Hell yeah. After all that, we close out the event with a high score of 1.5 million points, which puts us in the top 1% of players in the world for this course. This was completely unintentional, but I'll take it as a consolation prize for all the suffering this event put me through. And even though that last event was painstakingly long, it did greatly improve my drifting ability, which is going to help a ton in the long run. With everything taken care of in World 1, we can now move on to World 2 next, but not without leaving my mark before we go. I made a little weenie.
It's a penis.
Before entering into World 2, we have to go through a couple more tutorials that introduce us to Driftkhana events. Shout out Ken Block, may he rest in peace. These events consist of donut areas where we have to slide around a stationary object, and spin zones where we have to do tight drifts inside a designated area. Nothing too crazy here, but we did get the trophies Jelly Donuts and Spin Doctor for completing 5 donuts and 5 spin zones respectively. After completing the training, we can now make our way into World 2, and the first thing we do here is take care of the random missions spread around the overworld so we can unlock our next car, the BMW E30. We used the BMW to power through all of the events, and to be honest, this world was pretty uneventful as the only trophy we got here was Hoon Airlines for spending 2 minutes airborne. There was one specific challenge in the Midnight event that did give me some trouble, and that was to hit both perfect drift lines in a single run. The first one was really good at giving us a false sense of hope as we were able to hit it about 90% of the time, however the second one is where every attempt died. It's way longer than the first one, and it's pushed up against the outside wall, so we'd either slide through without enough speed and fall short, or we'd come in at the wrong angle and smack against the wall, which ruined our drift. Finally though, after about 15 minutes of constant restarts, we found the perfect combination of angle and speed to lock it down. Oh, let's go! Let's fucking go! Alrighty, with that out of the way, we can now move on to World 3. First things first, we clear all the overworld missions so we can unlock our next car, the Missile. And let me know down in the comments if you think this looks like an FD RX-7 or a 240SX. I'm on the fence about it because to me it looks like an RX-7 because of those taillights, but with the more squared off headlights and it missing both its front and rear bumpers, it has me leaning more towards it being a 240SX. But I don't know, let me know what you think. Regardless of what it is, we take it to the Driftkhana events to see what this baby can do. The first event we check out requires us to do 7 donuts, which may sound simple enough, however it only gives us 2 minutes to do it, which is barely enough time. This took way more attempts than it probably should have. So many in fact that we got the trophy Bacon Donuts for completing 25 donuts before we managed to get 7 in a single run. In one of the attempts we even tried just doing one continuous drift around the marker, but still ended up falling short by one single donut. We may not have gotten the challenge, but we did manage to get the trophy Insane Skills for scoring 2 million points, so at least that's something. We actually ended up with quite a few more than 2 million points, finishing the event with over 4.2 million, which makes this the second course where we were put in the top 1%. What can I say? I guess I'm built different. We did eventually beat the 7 donut challenge and moved on to the next Driftkhana event, which consisted of a bunch of floating islands, each with their own spin zones. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, landed it. All part of the plan. We only needed to complete 2 spin zones here for one of the challenges, but we just kept spinning until we hit 25 so we could get the trophy Washing Machine. Another one of the challenges here was to get a 15 times multiplier, and in order to keep the combo going, we kept trying to drift over the ramp to the next platform, which failed miserably every single time, but it did get us a trophy though. Okay, I need to stop trying to drift into the water. Hey, sake bombs. At least I got a trophy out of it for falling into the water 5 times. After completing all the challenges, we head back to the overworld for our next trophy, Double Rainbow. All we had to do for this was use the paint booth on the car 20 times and voila, another trophy. And with that, all the miscellaneous trophies are taken care of, so all that stands in our way of the platinum are the trophies The Completionist for completing all event challenges and Master Drifter for completing the game. The rest of the events in World 3, including the Midnight event, were a cakewalk, so we just breezed through them and moved on to World 4. The first thing we do here are the overworld missions, which unlocks the Hoonie Wagon, and even though this thing looks like we're drifting a pink hearse, it actually handles surprisingly well. There's not much to say about World 4 because at this point our skills have improved enough where we can pretty much run through any course in the first couple of tries. One thing that did give me a little bit of trouble was getting a 25 times multiplier on this Driftkhana event, but after breaking out the OP strat of drifting in a giant circle, we were able to get it done. The Midnight event was also pretty daunting because it was the first course we've seen where there are no walls, so one wrong move and we end up sleeping with the fishes. Oh goddamn! This course also had the 7-second drift challenge, and you all know how well that went on our first Midnight event. However, this time around, it actually wasn't that bad, and we were able to get it done fairly early on. The real challenge came with getting a 20 times multiplier, because this course has a bunch of straightaways that are just long enough for you to lose your combo before getting to the next corner, so you really have to push your drift as far as it can go while also being mindful of the edges. After about 30 minutes, we were finally able to get it, and not a second too soon, because we hit 20 times on the final corner before the finish. And with that, we can now move on to the 5th and final world of the game. Just like every other world, we complete all the overworld missions to unlock a new car, however for the life of me, I could not find it anywhere in the garage. I thought the game had just glitched, so I decided to bring the original out of retirement to show it the love it deserves, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by how well it handled. I thought it was bad because it was the starting vehicle and we needed to work our way up to better cars, but in reality, I was the one that was bad, and now that our skills have improved, we can throw this thing through the corners. We blasted our way through all of the courses, and it seemed like nothing could stop us. That is, until we reached the final Midnight event, which had the dreaded perfect drift line challenge again. The second drift line here was very unforgiving, as it was pushed up against the inside edge of the corner, and with no walls to stop our momentum, it was either hit the drift or take a dip. I didn't come this far to give up now, so we powered through, and after about 20 minutes of attempts, we were finally able to hit it. There it is, let's get it! Hell yes, bro. Hell yes. This was the last challenge we needed on the final course, so after crossing the finish line, we got the trophy The Completionist. Hey, The Completionist. Hell yeah. Complete all event challenges. Good shit, bro. With all the courses and challenges completed, the last thing we need to do now is make one final trek up the mountain, and upon reaching the summit, we see the Hoonie van that we couldn't find earlier sitting in its own designated garage. We hop inside and drive to the edge of the mountain where we're greeted by that giant Buddha again, and he congratulates us on becoming a drifting master. Hey, Master Drifter. The Platinum baby, the absolute drifter. Heck yeah. And with that, we complete Absolute Drift and secure our 78th Platinum. It only ended up taking us 8 hours to Platinum, and when you compare that to Art of Rally 75, this was a walk in the park. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe as it definitely helps me out. And if there are any games you want to see platinumed, let me know down in the comments. Alright, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.